Hello, students. Today we will continue with this chapter Indigo by Louis Fisher. But before we do that, we will just have a quick revision of the chapter from the very beginning. Now, Louis Fisher included indigo in Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi's biography. The chapter narrates how Gandhiji became a beacon of hope for poor peasants of Champaran and took their fight to the English landlords in a civilized, non violent, but still revolutionary way. The account begins with Fisher traveling to a place called Sevagram, a hospice run by Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi reveals to Fisher reason for protesting against Britishers in the year 1917. He narrated that he attended the 1916 Lucknow session of the Indian National Congress and met a small farmer by the name of Rajkumar Shukla. Rajkumar hailed from a place called Champaran. The Champaran district was a place known for the cultivation of indigo, a cash crop. There, the sharecroppers were being oppressed by the British landlords, and Rajkumar Shukla would not relent in his appeal to Gandhi until finally Gandhi agreed to visit Champaran. Before reaching Champaran, Gandhi visited Rajendra Prasad at his house in Patna. Rajendra Prasad was a well known lawyer but was not home at that time. Interestingly, Gandhi was refused to drink water from a tap on the belief that he belonged to the outcast group called the Untouchables. From there, Gandhi made a pit stop at Muzaffarpur to meet and talk to the sharecroppers. He arrived at the station on the 15th of April at Muzaffarpur station. A group of students from Arts College, led by their professor by the name J.B. Kripalani, welcomed the visitors. And they all stayed at the house of Professor Malkani. This, according to Gandhi, was a brave gesture on the part of Professor Malkani. Gandhi asked the various lawyers appearing in courts for the farmers to convene together and inquire about the state of proceedings and conditions of the battles in courts. Gandhi was shocked to learn about the exorbitant fees demanded by the lawyers and decried their gluttony. He proclaimed that the real issue was of deer and they must conquer their fears before taking any step in the fight for justice. The situation in Champaran was a lot worse than what was predicted by Gandhi. The fertile lands of Champaran were owned by the English landlords and tilled by the Indian tenant farmers. Now, under an old age agreement, the peasants had to grow indigo on 15% of the arable land and pass on its entire production to the Englishmen. With the advent of synthetic indigo, the English contrived to loot the farmers by asking them to pay compensation in place of the fixed 15% share. The peasants who stood up to such robbery were traumatized and repressed. Gandhi wanted to fact check everything before deciding on a final course of action and met with the secretary of British Landlords Association. After being rebuffed, he met the British official commissioner of the division who tries to bully Gandhi and browbeat him to surrender. Once convinced of the details, Gandhi made his move to Champaran's capital city named Motihari with a team of few lawyers for further information. During his stay, one day he was harassed by the police and threatened. He was asked to leave and given official notification for the same. He openly declared that he will disobey the order. He was ordered to present his case in the court. Gandhi sent a message to Rajendra Prasad to come to Champaran. He also messaged his ashram and the viceroy of British India. The next morning, there were thousands of peasants stationed outside the courthouse. Gandhi declared this to be the first step towards curing the Indians of the fear of the English. After the establishment failed to control the crowd, they asked Gandhi to do it. They even tried to defer the trial, but Gandhi protested. Gandhi confessed his guilt of non-compliance with the order but stated that he only did that in serving the greater law of conscience and justice. The magistrate releases Gandhi without bail for a 2-hour recess. After the resumption, the judge announced that the judgment will take more days. Answering Gandhi's call for help, many renowned lawyers like Rajendra Prasad came to Bihar. They all agreed to take a united stand at Gandhi's behest, even in case he was imprisoned. The program and strategy of civil disobedience proved fruitful, as the case against Gandhi and the following was scrapped by the provincial lieutenant governor himself. The lawyers began their work and recorded statements of several thousand farmers. Evidence was collected and investigations were being conducted. Gandhi charted his plan of action, especially if he got arrested. The Lieutenant General, Sir Edward Gate, asked to meet with Gandhi, and after a few meetings, he agreed to appoint an inquiry committee consisting of Gandhi, other officials, and landlords. The commission awarded compensatory refunds to the sharecroppers. It was agreed at 25%, even though Gandhi's initial demand was for 50%. In the end, the prestige of victory was more pertinent than a numerical value. Gradually, the British landlords associated their lands the British landlords abdicated the lands and the sharecropping arrangement was abolished after a few years. Gandhi was not content with mere political and legal victories and desired the social transformation of Champaran. To achieve his dream, schools were opened in 6 different villages, with 12 of his followers taking up work as teachers in the spirit of service. Gandhi was not content with just this. He thought about the health of the people, so a doctor was brought in to take care of the health treatment and hygiene awareness. His beloved wife Kasturbai and youngest son Devadas also toiled for ensuring cleanliness and proper sanitization of Champaran. As Fisher puts it, even an ordinary victory like Champaran had extraordinary significance, both in the manner and the conditions in which it was achieved. Gandhi's insistence on conquering the fears and internalizing a sense of struggle gave Indians a credo to adopt and cling on to. The ideals of self sufficiency, like refusing to seek the help of an English sympathizer, Charles Freer Andrews, and self belief made the Champaran episode a shining example for the rest of the country and countrymen to adore and replicate. So, hence, we've come to the end of this chapter, Indigo, and we will continue with other lessons maybe by next week. Thank you.